If you watched the news in the past week or two, there was a bunch of hubbub about a Peloton ad. This ad shows a woman waking up Christmas morning and finding that her husband has bought her a Peloton bike and put it under the tree. The Peloton, in case you didn't know, is a very expensive exercise bike. It runs a few $1,000s. This woman was clearly athletic and in shape and was delighted to get the bike. A lot of people thought that by buying her an exercise bike, the husband was implying that she was fat and needed to lose weight. They thought the husband was telling his already fit wife that she wasn't fit enough. In my opinion, she was just into exercise and was very happy to get the bike. But this commercial provides a good opportunity to talk about some of the misconceptions about being fit and about losing weight. We'll talk about those today. To the couch potatoes around America, it seemed a lot more likely that a husband would get his wife a bike as a way of shaming her rather than getting her a bike because she loved exercising and that's really what she wanted.
Does anybody walk or run anymore?
Of course we run, but for recreation, for fun.
Run for fun? What the hell kind of fun is that?
A lot of people go about losing weight the wrong way. They either buy exercise equipment or they go on a crash diet. Both of those are bad ideas. The reason that buying exercise equipment is a bad idea is the biggest barrier to exercise isn't a lack of equipment, it's a lack of time or not having it on your schedule. Build time into your schedule first and then buy exercise equipment if you want it. Going on a diet is generally also a bad idea because here's what happens. You're eating unhealthy, you put on weight. You go on a crash diet and you lose the weight. You go back to eating the way you were before and you put the weight back on plus some extra, and so you actually end up gaining weight from it. A much better plan would be to adopt healthy eating habits and adopt a healthy lifestyle. But you do need to lose the fat. Fat is not just a passive energy reservoir. Fat secretes hormones such as estrogen. When men get fat, they get man boobs because of estrogen, and with women it puts them at risk of getting cancer in their reproductive organs. So how do you lose the weight? Well, I'll tell you first, you are not going to exercise your way skinny. Let me break down the math for you. 1 pound of fat has 3,500 calories. 3,500 calories is roughly what you will burn off if you run a marathon. So in order to lose a pound of fat through exercising, you would need to run a full marathon without eating anything extra before or after. That's for 1 pound. If you have 5 pounds to lose, you're not going to get there. But having said that, exercise is important, just not for the reason you think. You're not exercising to burn the calories and burn the fat off. What you're doing is you're trying to retain muscle mass. Otherwise, what will happen is your body will say, we've got all this expensive muscle tissue that we need to get rid of. It's not serving any purpose. So if you're not actively exercising and using your muscle, when you go to lose weight, your body will get rid of the muscle instead of the fat. So that's why you exercise. So how do you lose fat? You cannot burn fat if there is insulin running through your system. So if you've been eating carbohydrates or drinking soda or anything like that anytime in the recent past, say in the past few hours, you're going to have insulin coursing through your system to clean up all of the glucose from those foods breaking down. And that makes it impossible for you to burn fat. Instead, what happens is you burn through all of the sugar and then you turn very cranky, you get angry, you get mad. So to avoid having extra insulin in your system, which prevents you from losing fat, there's a couple of approaches. One of them is you can eat during a very restricted time window. That gives your body plenty of time after eating to get rid of all of the glucose and insulin in your system, and then without insulin running through your system, you're able to lose fat. A second way, and this is the way that I lost about 40 pounds 10 years ago, is to eat several small meals, and by small meals I do mean tiny. So every 3 hours I would eat about 200 calories. 200 calories is like a tiny wedge of cheese and maybe half an apple, or something like that. People who work with me at the time would comment on this because at 9:30 I would leave the meeting and go over and eat. I was hungry. 12:30 I would get up again and go and eat a little bit of rice and a hard-boiled egg or something. But basically I would eat 200 calories about 6 times a day. That's 1,200 calories. I was burning about 2,500, so I was losing about 1,200 calories a day. I did that for 6 days a week. That comes to 6 times 12, 7,200. That's about 2 pounds of fat per week. And I lost 40 pounds in about 15 or 20 weeks. The key with that approach is that you're never more than 3 hours away from your next meal. You want to be hungry the whole time, but not famished. If you get famished, as I talked about in this other video, The reptilian part of your brain takes over and says, we're going to eat now. And you find yourself gorging yourself on food, you find yourself binging. Then, once you're done binging, you find yourself embarrassed and ashamed about what you did. It's not a good plan. So by continuously eating small meals, you're able to keep your insulin levels low, you're able to run a caloric deficit, and you're able to do this for a long period of time. Also, I would recommend making one day a week your cheat day. People worry about their cheat day. They think they're going to go crazy and they're going to pig out. Well, first off, if you have a caloric deficit of 7,000 calories, you're not making that up in a day. Second thing is, after a full week of eating only 200 calories at a time, you can't eat very much even if you want to. You eat a lot that day, maybe you eat 3,000 calories, but you're still 5,000 or 6,000 calories down for the week. It's not a bad plan. So my recommendation, and what I did, is for a couple of months, just eat tiny meals, 200 calories at a time, about 6 times a day. I would exercise frequently so that your body knows that you're trying to hang on to your muscle. What muscles should you exercise? Short answer, exercise the muscles that you don't want to lose. Your body will get rid of the muscles that you're not using. Muscles consume a lot more energy than fat, and so if you're running a deficit, your body is going to try to get rid of the muscle first. I found that pickles, olives, and things that have vinegar in them really don't have many calories and help make you not feel hungry. Apples are also really good at making you not feel hungry. The other nice thing about pickles is they only have about 5 calories each. You could eat an entire jar of pickles and you'd only be up 60 or 70 calories. You can have salad if you want, no dressing. I used to mix vinegar and lemon juice and put that on a salad and eat that. Virtually no calories, and it makes you feel like you're eating something. But stick with it, and it's like clockwork. The fat falls off. It's about 2 pounds a week. Now, let me put that in perspective for you. A quart jar weighs 2 pounds. So when I'm saying you lose 2 pounds a week, that's enough fat to fill a quart jar. And it gets pretty gross. By the time you've lost 40 pounds, that's 20 quart jars of lard. It's really pretty gross when you stand back and think about it, and then you think, man, I used to be carrying that around. But it's amazing, it falls off. So do that. And then after you've been exercising for 2 or 3 months, maybe push yourself to run a half marathon. Train for something. Maybe even get a Peloton. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful. Click subscribe, recommend your friends, do all of that stuff. Good luck. We'll talk to you soon.